Hey there! I'm genuinely glad you're here watching this. And if you feel like it, hitting that subscribe button would honestly make my day. Now let's get into it. My name's Kayla Monroe. I'm 34, an architectural designer by profession, and a serious bourbon enthusiast. And it turns out, I was also the unsuspecting stand-in for a relationship that had a secret expiration date, one I never saw coming. Emily Foster was my girlfriend. Or, she had been, right up until a Thursday night that completely wrecked the version of reality I'd built around us. We lived in a small, slightly crooked apartment in Nashville, the kind of place with groaning floorboards, mismatched furniture, and a ceiling fan that whispered secrets while it spun overhead. It wasn't fancy, but it had character. Just like us. We weren't some Pinterest-perfect couple, but we were honest. Or so I thought. We'd been house hunting, sketching out a future together, saving ideas on Pinterest boards and arguing about tile colors like real adults. Quietly, I'd even started saving for a ring, browsing jewelers online, practicing how I'd ask her dad for his blessing, imagining her saying yes with tears in her eyes. But that evening, the one that upended everything, started unassumingly. She came home with Thai takeout, didn't bother with plates, and sank into the couch with her eyes fixed on her phone, fingers moving like she was cracking a code. Then came the dreaded line. We need to talk. You know the one. The prelude to every emotional landslide. What followed was less a conversation and more a performance. Polished, scripted, like she'd practiced in front of a mirror. She looked at me with faux sincerity and said, "I've realized I'm polyamorous." I actually laughed, reflexively. Thought she was joking. She wasn't. She launched into this sweeping manifesto about emotional authenticity, social constructs, and personal evolution. But all I heard was, "I've been seeing someone else, and I want your blessing to keep doing it." Naturally, I pushed back. You don't just become poly overnight. That's when the real truth came out. She'd been rekindling something with her ex, Noah. Yep, that Noah. The one she used to call a commitment phobe who couldn't be trusted to water a succulent, much less sustain a relationship. The same Noah who vanished from her life for 2 full months back in 2018, only to reappear the second she showed up tagged in a beach photo with me. Apparently those old feelings had returned. She wanted to see where it goes. And then came the kicker. "But I still love you." She talked about love like it was a variety show, now featuring special guests. I sat there, stunned, feeling like I'd just been slapped with melted cheese and betrayal. And somehow, she was surprised when I told her she'd be sleeping on the couch. "You want to explore?" I said. "Perfect. Start with the futon." That night, I barely closed my eyes. My chest felt like it had caved in. All I could think about was the sacrifices I'd made for us, the compromises, the holidays spent with her chaotic family, the times I held her hand through her breakdowns and wild ambitions. Now it felt like I'd been replaced, not even with someone better, just newer. By morning, one name wouldn't leave my thoughts. Madeline Foster, Emily's older sister. We weren't close, but I'd always remembered her as the more grounded one. A nurse, quiet but self-assured. She and Emily hadn't spoken since their mother's funeral. Emily had, of course, turned the memorial into a performance piece, hijacking Madeline's heartfelt eulogy to deliver a bizarre soliloquy about cosmic grief vibrations. I remember Madeline standing there, holding her prepared speech, frozen and stunned. That was when it hit me. Emily didn't relate to people. She performed them. So, still reeling, I reached out. Messaged Madeline on Instagram, told her I needed clarity, or maybe just someone who'd understand without asking me to download an app. She replied almost instantly. We met for coffee, then another, then another. I'd gone searching for answers, but I found something steadier. A connection that didn't come with hashtags or half-baked philosophies, just someone who listened, who nodded and said, "Emily's always been like that." Madeline didn't sugarcoat things. "She doesn't really see people," she said. She sees mirrors of herself. That was when a spark of something, an idea, flickered to life. Because if Emily feared one thing more than being alone, it was being irrelevant. Madeline caught that glint in my eye. She grinned. Let me guess, she's bringing Noah to Thanksgiving? I blinked. How'd you know? She just sipped her coffee. Classic Emily. The louder the show, the smaller she feels. If she's parading Noah around, it's not about connection. It's about attention. Then, like it was the most casual suggestion in the world, she leaned in and said, You should come too, with me. My stomach did a full flip. To your dad's Thanksgiving? She nodded, calm as ever. Emily has no idea we've spoken. She probably thinks you're at home, licking your wounds while she steals the spotlight. And then, with a twinkle in her eye, picture her face. It sounded unhinged, like the third act of a Netflix rom-com with unresolved trauma, and yet it also felt right. After years of being molded into something more acceptable for her, of being told I was too loyal, too traditional, too small, this wasn't revenge. It was reclaiming the narrative. So we planned. Not just logistics, but the emotional beats, the timing, the delivery. I won't lie. It was exhilarating. Not because I wanted to hurt her, but because I finally felt in control of my story. Thanksgiving came. I wore a shirt Madeline swore made me look disturbingly well-adjusted. She arrived early, playing the perfect daughter, setting silverware with a grace that was almost theatrical. Then I showed up, with wine, with confidence, with a heartbeat loud enough to power the whole block. And there she was, Emily, posed on the love seat like she was mid-brand campaign, and right next to her, Noah, the same Noah, with the Waffle House tattoo and emotionally unavailable energy. Her eyes locked onto me. Caleb? She said, blinking like a buffering screen. Before I could reply, Madeline stepped up, slid her arm around my waist and said, You're late. Silence fell like a curtain. Chairs scraped, a fork dropped. Emily's jaw opened and shut like a faulty hinge. You two are... Madeline smiled, calm as ever. We've been reconnecting. Emily's cheeks flared red. This is a setup. You did this just to humiliate me. No, I replied, voice steady. You rewrote the rules. I just started reading the fine print. Her dad tried to keep things civil. Emily, he said gently, if Caleb and Madeline are happy, that's what matters. Emily shook her head like a record skipping. Number, you can't do this. Not with her. Then she spat the inevitable. So I'm the villain now? I stayed silent. There was nothing left to add. The four of us sat frozen, a tableau straight from the climax of a slow-burn drama. Emily seethed in place. Noah chewed methodically, eyes blank. Madeline poured wine with eerie precision, like a ceremony she'd rehearsed for years. And because dysfunction doesn't take holidays off, Emily's tears came quick, weaponized emotion glinting beneath the candlelight. This is betrayal, she whispered, voice cracking. I was vulnerable. I took a risk, and now I'm being punished for it. Madeline's head turned, her voice like tempered steel. No, Emily, that wasn't bravery, it was convenience, and they're not the same. That was the breaking point. Emily flung her fork onto the plate, leapt to her feet, and unleashed a furious monologue about gaslighting and patriarchal trauma before storming out. It was theater, cafeteria-level tantrum dressed up in spiritual self-help slogans. Later, she cornered me in the guest room, her tone soft now, her touch familiar. She tried to reframe the narrative, hand on my arm, voice low. We were meant to last, she said, her eyes full of manufactured sincerity. I looked at her. We were meant to be honest, and you chose spectacle over sincerity. That moment shifted everything. Not because I won, but because for once, she didn't get the final word. I walked out that night under the porch light, and Madeline laced her fingers through mine. Told you, she murmured. She only yells when she knows the game's slipping away. I nodded. This time it's gone for good. Thanksgiving had detonated like a buried landmine, and it wasn't over. Over the following 48 hours, Emily unraveled in real time. Her spiral was loud, chaotic, and aimed at maximum damage. First came the digital ambush, text messages, then emails, then anonymous DMs. Each one echoed the same theme. You betrayed me. You twisted Madeline. You never loved me. This was all payback. I blocked everything, every phone number, every inbox, even LinkedIn. Yes, even that. She found me there too. And when her silence didn't pull a reaction out of me, she escalated again. Emily went public. She posted a long, unhinged tirade, laced with buzzwords about gaslighting, narcissism, weaponized growth. She never tagged me. She didn't have to. People understood. Friends, followers, family. They all read between the digital lines. A few messaged, puzzled. Some distanced themselves entirely. Others reposted her monologue with hollow platitudes about supporting women reclaiming their power. I said nothing. Neither did Madeline. We posted a photo, just the two of us on a trail somewhere. No caption, no hidden barbs, just peace. But Emily wasn't finished. A few days later, she turned up at Madeline's place. No warning. Madeline wasn't home. I was. She looked wrecked. Hair tangled, face bare, wearing sweats and an old hoodie she used to mock. "You're disgusting," she said as I opened the door. I leaned casually against the frame. "Hello to you too." "You planned this," she snapped. "You wanted to break me." "No," I replied, calm. "I just stopped pretending you were someone you're not." She stepped closer, voice starting to fracture. "So this is love? Revenge?" I didn't flinch. "You said you wanted freedom. I gave it to you, and I claimed mine too." Her voice dropped to a whisper, suddenly fragile. "I didn't think you'd actually walk away." And that hit differently, because for once it wasn't manipulation. It was real. She never thought I'd actually move on. She imagined I'd stay behind, aching, waiting, while she wandered through her healing journey. But I hadn't waited. I'd chosen someone else, and that shattered her. She turned to go, then spun back, voice shaking, finger pointed. "You'll regret this." I didn't say a word, but the next morning, Madeline and I made a pact. We were done being cornered. We locked down everything, changed the locks, cut shared contacts, silenced every mutual thread, full blackout. And for a while it worked, until the next strike came. A manila envelope appeared at my office. No sender. Inside, screenshots, dozens. Supposedly between Madeline and her cousin Kylie, dated just after our first coffee. The messages were brutal. "He's perfect, totally clueless. She's going to lose it when she sees us together. I don't even like him. I just want to watch her spiral." Everything about them felt real. Names, timestamps, bubble colors, precise formatting. My gut flipped. Had I been played? Was Madeline using me? I sent a text. "We need to talk." We met at a quiet cafe near my job. I didn't speak, just handed her the stack like it was a detonator. She read through them, expression unchanged, cold fury in her eyes. "They're fake," she said flatly. "All of them." "They look legit." "They're not." Her voice held firm. She pulled out her phone. "May 16th, right? Look." She opened Instagram. There she was, on stage in Phoenix, wearing a badge and holding a mic. The timestamp matched the alleged messages. She showed a dinner group photo from that night, then a live stream from the event's website. Her face, her voice, her presence, all accounted for. "I didn't send those," she said. "I don't know how Emily pulled it off, but she did." And I believed her, because the tone in those texts wasn't Madeline's. It was Emily's signature venom, her flair for drama. That night we decided, no more silence. We went to Emily's. She opened the door like she'd already won. But then Madeline stepped forward and said, clear, unwavering, "The screenshots were fake. We have proof. It's over." Emily panicked, denied it, deflected, blamed Kylie, but it didn't matter. We'd seen the truth with our own eyes. "You ruined everything," she whispered hollow. "No," I replied. "You did, the moment you chose theater over truth." That was the last time we saw her, and for the first time the air felt light again. You'd think after everything, the fake messages, the social smear campaign, the Thanksgiving spectacle, she'd finally disappear. But no, a week passed. Silence. No new numbers, no ghost accounts. I started to hope we were free. Then my mom called. Sweet, well-meaning bake sale on weekends, Mom. She sounded shaken. Are you okay? She asked. I froze. Yeah, why? Emily called me. She said you've joined some kind of relationship cult, that you're isolating yourself, that you're not well. I had to sit down. Her latest story? I'd been brainwashed into a manipulative, polyamorous commune, all because I fell in love with someone else, with her sister. It took nearly half an hour to walk my mom through the truth, that I was in a real, grounded, mutual relationship with a woman who actually chose me back. And that, more than all the chaos, all the noise, was Emily's final heartbreak. Not that I left her, but that I stopped being a character in her drama. It felt like one of those surreal moments, like waking up mid-dream, hoping it's not real. Nobody should have to explain loyalty to their own mother, let alone because an ex chose to twist the truth for revenge. But Emily wasn't done. Not even slightly. Only days later, she arrived at my job. No warning, no message, not even a missed call. She walked in like she had a case to win, folder clutched tightly, eyes sharp with intent. She flashed a charming smile at the front desk. Claimed she was just dropping off lunch. What she really delivered was disruption, more so-called evidence. This time, she swore it came straight from Kylie, Madeline's cousin. She burst into the break room like she owned it, slapped the folder onto the table and said, "You need to see this." Inside were more screenshots, more elaborate, more venomous. The messages, allegedly from Madeline, painted her as a manipulator running some long con. According to them, it had all been orchestrated, a cruel strategy. He's just a piece on the board. She'll completely unravel if we're seen together. It's not about Caleb, it's about sending a message. For a brief second, my gut churned. Not because I believed it, but because I grasped how far Emily was willing to go. I asked her to leave. She didn't protest, just turned and, like a villain exiting stage left, muttered, "She's playing you. One day you'll see." That evening, I met Madeline at our usual spot. I pushed the folder across the table. She opened it, flipped through the pages, and gave a short, incredulous laugh. "These again?" she said, calmly turning the pages. "Still fake?" She pulled out her phone and started refuting each message, one by one. She had timestamps from work events, Instagram posts, airline tickets. One text was supposedly sent while she was mid-speech at a conference, another during a flight to Phoenix. It was all smoke and mirrors, carefully constructed fiction. Emily had forged everything, but this time she didn't just cross a line, she obliterated it. She breached my workplace, my last safe zone. That was the moment we knew, enough. We didn't retaliate. No calls, no texts. We disappeared. Phones, blocked, email, closed, mutual contacts, disconnected. Every possible route she could use to find us, we shut it down. Then we did something radical. We booked tickets to Italy, not to escape, but to breathe, to find a place untouched by her presence, a space where love wasn't a battleground and healing didn't come in the form of trendy quotes and performative growth. 7 days later, we boarded the flight. For the first time in ages, everything was still. No fear humming beneath my skin, no tension lurking in the wings, just silence. But before we left, one last message slipped through, a single email untraceable. 4 short sentences, no theatrics, no manipulation. "I'm sorry. I understand now. I wish you both well. Please don't reply." No sender. No plea for forgiveness. Just finality. I stared at it for a long while. I didn't respond. I didn't need to. By then, we had already left. Physically, emotionally, completely. That apology came far too late. Italy felt like a reset button on my soul. No alarms, no defensiveness, no shame lurking behind smiles. Just cobbled streets, slow glasses of wine, Madeline's hand in mine, and the quiet joy of rediscovery. We didn't make a spectacle of our trip. Just a handful of photos, gelato, river reflections, evening light, no comments, no explanations. But if anyone looked closely, the message was loud and clear. We weren't escaping. We were reclaiming. One night, under the soft glow of a Venetian street lamp, Madeline turned to me and asked, "Do you think maybe Emily breaking you is what actually saved you?" And I nodded. Because somewhere in the ashes, between betrayal and silence, I found more than closure. I found perspective. Emily didn't just hurt me. She turned it into a production, her own tragic play, complete with faux growth and curated grief. And I was the prop, the one clapping from the wings while she took her bow. But when the curtain dropped, I found Madeline, not because of the chaos, but despite it. She didn't ask to be idolized. She didn't need me to reinvent myself daily. She just showed up, real, kind, unfiltered. And gradually, I remembered who I was. Not the version Emily dismantled with sarcastic praise, not the man overcompensating in the name of emotional intelligence. Just me, Caleb. A guy who sketches dream buildings, loves late-night cereal, laughs too hard at action flicks, and wants to design homes that feel like belonging. That version came back, stronger than before. 2 weeks later, we returned to Nashville. We built new boundaries, started new routines, chose a new apartment, one without echoes of old pain. We left the past locked in that old place, like a chapter finally closed. And then came an unexpected twist. An email from Lana, a mutual friend who'd always stayed neutral. No sides, no drama, just the occasional pulse check. "Hey," she wrote, "thought you might want to see this." Attached was a screenshot. It was Noah, Emily's notorious ex, the one she swore had reignited her sense of self, the alleged beginning of everything. Turns out, while he was preaching ethics and rebirth, he was engaged. Secretly. To someone else. Long before he reappeared in Emily's life. The polyamory was a lie. A placeholder. A delay tactic until he could fully commit to his actual plan. Engagement pics, venue details, a gift registry. Emily had been fooled by the same tricks she once played. She never saw it coming. Madeline and I sat on the couch, wine in hand, staring at the post. I expected to feel anger, justice, maybe even satisfaction. But I felt nothing. No celebration, no gloating, just reality. Emily gambled with people's lives and got played harder than she ever played us. She moved us around like pieces in her game, and then got outmaneuvered by someone more calculated than she was. The most powerful revenge wasn't loud. It wasn't public. It was this. Emily, alone at night, staring at her phone, seeing a picture of the man she once called her future and the sister she betrayed in Rome, radiant, happy, out of reach. Knowing without doubt that no matter how many stories she spins, what Madeline and I have is true. And what she lost? She can never recreate it. This is where our story ends. Thanks for being here. If it resonated, I hope you stick around. Until next time.